Good afternoon. My name is Cole. I'm from the Kingdom of the Rising Winds, the Grand Duchy of Ebonmarch, and today we'll be talking about Druid 101. So, like all these 101 classes, I'm not going to be going into great detail about the class. I'm just going to give you a little oversight about the class, and so you'll see if you would like to play the class or not. So, let's go ahead and talk about Druids. So, Druids are the enchantment class. What I mean by that is Druids have some of the best enchantments that you can give on to other people in the game. There comes a lot of pros and cons to that, but we will talk about that in a moment. So, what are different ways that people like to play Druid? Different ways that people like to play Druid, because of the enchantment class, a lot of people like to play what they call a candy druid. That is a player whose list is primarily consists of different enchantments to give out to other people, and they're more or less stay in the back line. Anytime someone needs more armor or crushing breaking ability or stuff like that, they usually stay in the back line and people come to them. Because they're able to give out so many enchantments, this class allows players to really customize the way they play. So, what I mean by that, so you have candy druids. You can also, because the druid class has many different weapons you can use, up to a bow, poles, stuff like that. That allows for another type of archetype that a lot of people like to play, which is a bow druid. So, that leads me to my talk, like I usually do with this, about the front line, second line, and third line. In my opinion, druids are great second line and third line fighters because of the weapons that are allowed to have and the nature of giving out enchantments. You don't necessarily want to be in the front line trying to give out enchantments. A lot of their weapons are very long weapons, so say poles and bows. So that leads to the archetype of bow druid. So a bow druid more or less stands in that third row, and at the beginning of the match, whatever, or during, will give out enchantments and stay in that back line and get to do all your shots. And if anybody needs any new stuff, they come back to him. That also leads to pole druids, because similar to a bow druid, but more or less they stay in that second line, using poles, keeping people back, giving support to that front line, but also giving that support of different enchantments. When you're in that second line, that affords you the time to really see what you are up against and give out different enchantments that can help accordingly. Do you see a lot of shields that are capable of being broken in the front line? Okay, how about I go ahead and give abilities to that frontline fighter that can give out crush and breaking. So stuff like that. So those are different archetypes, the usual roles that they play. So what is my personal opinions on druids? I like playing druid. I personally don't play a ton of druid, even though I have level 6 in it for a while. I personally don't play a lot of druid. Nothing against the class, nothing like that. It's just the type of weaponry does not necessarily click with me. I don't have a lot of poles around, so I don't necessarily play druid that much. Also, I personally like having shields, so it's all like everything in the game. Personal preference for everything. So let's go ahead and go over the pros and cons of the druid class. So let's always go ahead and start with the pros. So the pros of the class is because it is so enchantment heavy, and enchantments can, in my opinion, make or break the battle that you're in at that moment. It is a very, very helpful class. Even at low level, druid is very helpful. Just a little amount of armor you can give out to people. Stuff like that can really change the outcome of your battle. So I find it a very helpful class. So one of the cons I have for the Druid class is because these enchantments are so powerful and so good, which, like I said, I'll go over in later classes about a little more details on the Druid class and what their abilities are. So, cons, because these abilities are so good, a lot of these abilities are per refresh. So, depending on the game that you are playing, that refresh could be right around the corner. That refresh could be in 2 minutes. That refresh could be hours from now. And because of this class giving out enchantments, and those enchantments are per refresh, that makes each enchantment, especially how costly they are, that makes each enchantment so important and really bad when it gets dispelled. That's an archetype I also missed. Dispel druids. Druids have at level 6 have a specific thing where they can basically put out a whole lot of dispels, which can really turn the tide of battle depending on the type of situation you have going on. So say you are a druid, that's where we go back to the cons of it. You are a druid, you're a candy druid, you're giving out a lot of enchantments to your whole team. It is all good. And on the other side, they have a druid that is set up to dispel a whole lot. That leads to this one person's one ability was able to negate all of these other spells you just gave out. So that's what I say about the pros and cons of things. So go over to another pro. Another pro of this class is the amount of weapons you're allowed to use. I believe it is the only spellcasting class where you can use a bow. And if you're great at using a bow, you don't want to play, say, archer or assassin. It's another great class. It's a yes, you don't have specialty arrows like as a archer, of which I have an archer class, one-on-one class for that. If you want to see that. Yes, you don't have the special arrows like that, but you have normal arrows, and you have all these enchantments you can still give out. So, in my opinion, would I recommend this class for a new player? In my opinion, yes. The class itself, as you level up, will teach you more about the game, in my opinion, and how important enchantments are. At the lower levels, as a new player, you can still pay for one sword and still be able to really contribute to your team. So, as a new player playing Druid, you can still really contribute to your team by just giving out this one pivotal enchantment to this person or that person, or a little piece of armor to this person or that person. So, as a new player, it can really help and boost your confidence in the game. And especially, I think this class out of any other class, it really teaches you a lot about the game as you progress in it. So that has been my class on Druid. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, do the usual YouTube stuff. If you want me to make more videos, just go ahead and leave a comment, suggestions for more videos. And like I said, I've been Cole with the Kingdom of the Rising Winds, and thank you for watching.